We are doing another anime review, sort of. It's 7 a.m. right now, around there, and I just finished binge watching. It's a long name. Failure Frame. I became the strongest and annihilated everything with low level spells. So yeah, with that name, you can tell it's gonna be a pretty high quality anime. On Mal, it is rated 6.48, and this time, unlike with I Parry Everything, I can see why it has that rating. And in my opinion, the reason it has this rating, and the biggest problem in my eyes, is how much CGI it has. I think this show was about 70 to 80% CGI, even in places that didn't really need it. And that's not really a bad thing. It just kind of shows how like low the budget was, which is unfortunate. I really liked the concept and the story and everything like that. It just fell flat with the animation because there was almost no animation. And don't get me wrong, the animation when it was there, it was peak. It was actually so good. The reason I started watching the show actually was because I saw like the trailer and the animation and the characters just look so beautiful. Like the art, the animation was very nice. It was just only there like 20% of the time. If they had a bit more budget, I think this show probably could have been like rated like a 7.8 or something like that, like pretty high. But another thing I did notice with this show, it was full of fan service. It was it was egregious at times. Um, a lot of the female characters just like didn't wear very covering clothes. Uh, and it was pretty wacky. And I think they like played into it because there was a lot of situations that were just like awkward romance fan service. It was it was pretty diabolical, to be honest. The genres for the show again are action, adventure, and fantasy. And I'm honestly surprised there was no romance tag there because there is quite a bit of romance, in my opinion. Most of the romance is like awkward fan service scenarios that they like kind of like forced in there. And sometimes they can be kind of funny. The awkwardness does get funny, so I do appreciate that. But most of the time, it's just like it's whatever. And the budget really was a shame because when there was animation, you could tell it just looks so nice and it flowed so well. Like these people knew how to do art and animation and it was amazing, but most of it was just CGI. And the CGI wasn't even like too bad to be honest, but I can see why people would rate it like a 6.5. I personally, my rating would be a 7.5 for this show because honestly, the only real complaints that I have are CGI and fan service. Like they're not even really big complaints. They're pretty big complaints. They're kind of massive, but there's only two of them. So, but if you are planning to watch this, I would probably recommend holding off for a little bit because the ending of the first season wasn't an ending at all. It was a complete setup for the second season. Now, the second season hasn't even been confirmed, so I don't know if it's going to be coming out, but the ending just purely was for a second season. So, like, anything that you were hoping was going to happen in the first season, they left for the second season, which was kind of disappointing, but I will be excited for the second season if it gets announced. Another thing I did notice was that there was a lot of cliche moments in this show. Like you could kind of tell where things were going to go, and it always ended in the most cliche like lines and stuff like that. And if you are looking for like an action show with fights, this is not the one for you. The abilities this character gets, the main character, are basically fully for winning without an actual fight. So there's not really like many good animated fights or anything like that. It's mainly just the main character dominating enemies with like supposedly weak abilities, which are super strong if they're used by him. So it's just like the trope of like the usual low quality fantasy adventure show. Another part of the show I can sing the praises for is the intro and outro. The intro especially was one of the best intros I've heard in a long while. That was such a good song, and I definitely recommend listening to it if you are going to watch the show. I would rate this show a 7.5 out of 10, and I probably wouldn't recommend it to be watched right now, maybe if a second season gets announced. But honestly, the show isn't as bad as it's made out to be. It's pretty bad, but like, it's not that bad. But yeah, that's going to be the end of my spiel. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.